YouTube, it is I, Sakarma, coming with a quick channel from Total Brohammer here, a little 1v1 action. I, myself, Sakarma, heading Mousillon, the Vampiros, against Carcassonne and Smeaton. Oh, I'm absolutely Smeaton with that name. Ah, excellent. Anyways, so we're doing a little classic. Actually, ooh, this is very flavorful. I mean, I suppose it should be Llewellyn Curse or the lady, but you know, this is the vampires of Bretonnia against the humans of Bretonnia. So I'll slow it down because right away there's some shooting going on. So what did we bring? I rarely play vampires in this game, only because Blood Knights are kind of poop. And this actually will illustrate why Blood Knights are kind of poop. You'll see in this matchup why they're not so great anymore. Because they used to be, they were like the dragons of Total Warhammer 1. They were the Shaggoths, man. They could do whatever they wanted. They could kill other cav, they could do devastating charges, they could be healed. Blood Knights, and they look cool while doing it. They're just flashy. Look at these bald motherfuckers. Maybe that's why I like them so much, because they also have no hair. But besides that, and they like to drink blood, of course, you know, me too. I'm a big fan of imbibing of, you know, the life fluid of other people. But anyways, and they're very pale. Like a gamer. Look at these guys really are just gamers. Okay, enough of this. Anyways, yeah, so I love Blood Knights. They're cool looking, they're funky, they do a lot of damage, they fill a lot of roles. They were fun. Especially when vampires had no anti-large before Blood Knights, because Terrorgeists were bad in Warhammer 1, so that was rough. Alright, so what did I bring here? My army is a bunch of zombies in the front, with the Tithe in the middle. A couple of Skeleton Spearmen to prevent from cycle charging. A big thick line of Graveguard, because that will pretty much deal, and a Stearnsman, of course, because it'll deal with pretty much any infantry that the Bretonnians are willing to throw at me. A couple more Spear in the back, rather, to prevent flank charging. And then a Corpse Cart with Unholy Lodestone with a couple of Chevrons. Why Chevron? Probably had extra money. That seems a little silly. 11 melee attack. Ooh boy, ooh doggy, they better be afraid. A whole 11. So yeah, so I'm moving them up there. A couple of Blood Knights, some birds, and then the Red Duke leading his glorious Blood Knights. And his sword looks so small. You got a small sword, Duke. Real tiny sword. And the horse is angry. Or yawning. Alright, so, yeah, let's get started here. I'll slow down real quick, go through them. So they brought a couple of mounted yeoman archers, smart pick, good to just, you know, chase away units, be able to do damage, mobile, you know. Having a static firing line is pretty dangerous in Warhammer 2 because of monsters and magic is so powerful. You have some battle pilgrims here, you know, foot squires, battle pilgrims. Probably best leaving the battle pilgrims behind in this matchup. You're going to see a lot of Graveguard, generally. And if they don't bring Graveguard, the only other decent infantry they have are Crypt Ghouls, and foot squires will deal with both of them pretty well. So yeah, battle pilgrims probably don't really have a place, but hey, they'll hold longer maybe. You got a couple of paladins here as a holding force. You have a Grail Relique. You have 3 Pox arrows right here down the middle. A couple of spearmen with shields with several chevrons each. And then some 2 Grail Guardians along with the lady as the leader, so as the lord. So let's get started. Oh, and on him I just brought Invocation and the zombie summon. And what magic does she have? Let's see before we get started. Real quick, we got Regrowth and Earthblood. Nice. Okay, so let us begin the battle for Fake France. So right away he's getting some shots into my you know, Blood Knights. They have really high armor. I think 100 something, 110 with shields. So that's gonna do a whole lot of nothing. And also, don't they have an ability? If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they have an ability that gives them Yeah, the Flag of Bloodkeep, 22% missile resistance. So these guys are really, really good. Oh, engaged in melee. So these guys are really good at absorbing range fire. Another reason they're really cool. I don't think that was in game 1 though. But anyways, yeah, so they're funky. They're wasting some units, some arrows on my Fellbats. I don't mind. I'd rather keep them alive. I'm going to chase them off with the Red Duke, who does have a shield. So he'll be, you know, a little more better suited to run them down. I mean, he's not going to catch them, but at least, you know, ward them off so they can't shoot my Corpse Carter. You know, really that's the only thing that's unarmored and vulnerable. So right away, shooting my zombies as they should be shot. This is pretty cool. You got zombie march, just a bunch of peasants waiting. Over there, you have some positioning and the Red Duke running back and forth. And just oof, look at all those. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's funky. Anyways, over here, the Red Duke, you know, he sends out his Grail Guardians. I thought they were Grail Knights for the longest time, but he chases them down and then whatever. I realized that these are not Grail Guardians, and I realized that we're not really that at risk of charges because the charge bonus on Grail Guardians is pretty weak. 38, so I don't really need to defend my back line. So I send, so I send my Skeleton Spearmen after them to ward them off. Let's get rid of that. I send my Skeleton Spearmen ward off to get rid of them. Over here on the right flank, I have my Graveguard swinging around to try and help out these Blood Knights as they're going to engage these Grail Guardians soon. So let's slow it down, and this is why I want to say they're kind of poop. So right away he charges into these Graveguard. Not going to be the best fight for them. I'm trying to get my Blood Knights in over here, but as you can see, I'm just going to circle right around. And, okay, we're chasing on both flanks, so we have the Bread Duke here in support and 2 Skeleton Spearmen. So we're going to circle right around. We're going to get them... They're fighting Skeleton Spearmen, so anti-large. They're going to win, obviously. But they should be taking a little bit of damage. They're taking almost nothing. The Graveguard are doing a little bit of damage. Over here, we have this giant pocket, and at some point, I'm going to get a charge. I don't know if they get blocked by it, but let's see this charge. No, I move them around. For some reason, my Skeleton Spearmen are doing all this funky stuff. And they do this charge, and it just is such a lackluster, just... gross. Right in the flank and almost nothing. And these are an anti-large cav unit. Like an elite anti-large cav unit. Probably the best in the game. It does almost nothing. Like 15-20% damage, which is, I guess, a lot. But in the flank, with a Blood Knight charge, should be much more devastating. Over here, just to, you know, show what's going on, these Blood Knights are fighting against these Grail Guardians, and I don't know what the stat differences are. 56 melee defense, I guess that's it. But, yeah, they can't seem to do anything. I guess they have super high armor, and they have that physical resistance, so they are, of course, they're supposed to be tanky, but these guys are anti-large. They're supposed to be able to take them down, and they're just doing a very poor job of it. Anti-large and better melee stats, and they're kind of losing. So, what I learned in this battle is that Grail Guardians are no joke. I used to think they were kind of shit and don't have much of a place. But yeah, against these Blood Knights, they're doing very, very well. And meanwhile, they have the support of the Fae, so they're being healed, and of course, we're being sucked off as we're fighting her, because the favor of the Fae, that spell that she has that does damage over time. But as you can see over here in the prolonged combat, I mean, they're doing okay, but these guys are surrounded by 3 units, and they're still holding quite well. 2 of them anti-large, and 1 is a decent, you know, has decent melee stats. 30, I guess, against the 24 is not going to do anything. But yeah, I don't know. It just it was very disheartening to see how bad these Blood Knights performed. These, you know, the greatest knights in all the land, or some of the greatest knights in all the land. There he goes, he's dead, probably killed by a peasant. It's just disgusting, just absolutely disgusting. And over here, he's got his yeoman archers into my back line. The front lines, as you'd expect, are going in my favor. Those are the Tithe dying, not the Sternsmen. Sternsmen are cleaning up over here. His backline is pretty secure. I should have moved the Red Duke around, but I thought I could kill these guys much faster. If this was Warhammer 1, the Grail Guardians would have been dead long ago. But no, in this game they actually do all right. So we're doing okay. You know, the battle is kind of like going back and forth here. They've been healing a lot. I've been healing a lot. We did a lot of damage to the Fae. I pulled these Blood Knights out. He charged me again with these Grail Guardians, and I just don't understand how they're still alive. They've been fighting 3 units the whole time, and it's confusing. But I bring the Red Duke over here. I think they took down my corpse cart with their pox arrows, so that was unfortunate. But now I get the zombie summons in the back here. He is shooting into the back of my units, but I have that 22% versus physical resistance, versus missile on my Blood Knights when engaged in melee, so that's okay. Over here, the zombies have finally gone to these pox arrows, and they're going to start mucking them up, and they'll do some decent damage. You know, these are equivalent uselessness. You know, you have peasants and zombies. You know, but both about worth less than the gum on your shoe. So they're going to go, you know, toe to toe with the whopping, you know, 18 melee attack versus, you know, 14 melee defense. Over here, the knights, my Blood Knights have lost actually against these Grail Guardians in prolonged combat with healing and all that. They've actually lost this battle. I pull back another charge into them. These downhill. These spearmen haven't really been too involved in the fight, so it's really just Grail Guardians just fucking up my Blood Knights. Over here, I've pulled my Blood Knights off and starting to get some mirror charges in. These guys are just fighting, you know, everything and winning. I mean, as a vampire player, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Your only anti-large options are Blood Knights and Terrorgeists, and obviously Terrorgeists are really, really good in Warhammer 2, but I don't want to bring Terrorgeists in every battle. That's why I don't play vampires anymore. It's because you kind of have to bring Terrorgeists in every single battle, otherwise you'll get dumpstered by large units. And it's just really unfortunate. I mean, just look at these guys are doing so poorly, and they're your anti-large option. And these guys, again, these aren't giant monsters. Like, these aren't, like, can you imagine if this was like a Kroq-Gar or a highly armored single entity model? Like, they would just crush them. I mean, just, anti-large cav in this game, except for when fighting other cav, is pretty bad. And even in this case, they're pretty bad. They just can't do what they need to do. As a vampire player, I don't know how you get rid of Grail Guardians. I guess you don't. He's getting some recharges over here. That's just a lot of damage to those Graveguard. And he's going to start crumpling these Skeleton Spearmen. I have routed his back line, but they'll all return. They're peasants, you know. They run and then they realize, oh, geez, if we go home without the knights, we'll just get eaten. So I guess we have to come back and, you know, throw our corpses, throw our bodies into the swords of the vampires. Over here, the Blood Knights are, you know, they're doing their thing. They're trying to kill some of these men-at-arms. They're trying to kill a paladin. You know, they'll get rid of him in short order. he does bring these Grail Guardians back, and he has his Pox Arrows back online, which is super dangerous because they're going to start lowering all our stats, and we're in like a big blob. It's not, you know, ideal. So I set a Grave Guard to get them, but of course Grave Guards are super slow at, what, 21 as they're getting shot by Pox Arrows, so that's not good. But I do get a cast of Invocation in the Heck over here. He does get a nice charge, so I turn my guys to face it. Of course, the charges are going to be pretty weak on Grail Guardians, but still. I mean, with that bonus, they might do okay. 36% charge bonus. So that's about, you know, 50, 60 charge bonus, which isn't bad, actually. Over here, you know, these guys are just cleaning up both these units. Pretty impressive. The Grail Guardians are really the MVPs of this match. But I am able to take down the Paladin, Relique. I think I must have killed the Fae earlier in the game with the Red Duke. But yeah, at this point, we do have a lot of zombie summons left. I'm going to try and pin these guys in, or at least send these zombies after these archers. I remember trying to cast it like over here, and he wouldn't do it. He had to like run through all the calves. So that was kind of frustrating. But yeah, over here between the Blood Knights and the Red Duke and their support, there's 2 units now fighting this one Grail Guardian. They should be able to take it down. This other one's going to come in and try and add backup and lend support to the other Grail Guardian unit. But it's going to be, I mean, between this firing line, sure, it might be able to win, but with the Red Duke and support, it's going to be difficult for these 2 units to take down Blood Knights. Because while they did end up beating some of the Blood Knights, they're not going to do damage with any sort of, you know, rapidity, if that's a word. I feel like it sounds fun. Rapidity. That sounds like a fun word. Anyways, yeah, and the Sternsmen over here are fine, and so are the Grave Guards, so yeah, at this point it's just a bit of a slugfest, but I'm not going to speed it up, just to show you how well these Grail Guardians hold out. They're just not taking any damage. They're fighting a Lord, a Duelist Lord, and 2 anti-large elite cav units. Obviously, they're tattered and they're a little damaged, but still, they're just doing very, very well. I was very shocked with how well these Grail Guardians performed. I never bring them because I thought they were kind of useless. In game 1, they had some uses against Flagellant and stuff like that. Against Empire, you could bring them, but in most matchups, I wouldn't think to bring them. But I don't know. Maybe this is having rethinking them. I'll have to do some testing, see how they perform online. But yeah, so the Red Dukes over here. Problem is they have no killing power. They're a really good holding force, but for so much money, all you're gonna get is a holding force. You're not, and they still can be taken down with spells, Fate of Buna, stuff like that. So I don't know. It's a difficult calculus to make. But over here, zombies running down these Pox Arrows, these peasants with bows, some crumbling Graveguard. Yeah, and then this is going to be, as you can see, the time limit. It's going to be a vampire victory as we clean up some of these Grail Guardians. But again, they have held out the whole battle. Of course, they were supported by healing, but the Fan Chance has been gone for a while now, and they're just doing so well. I was very, very impressed with the Grail Guardian performance in this game. The Pox Arrows are still raining down. Of course, we do get that missile resistance, but yeah, my Blood Knights are dying. If it wasn't for the Red Duke and his survivability, I don't know that I would have won this, because my army's pretty fucked. Everyone's at zero, pretty much zero. I'm probably out of magic at this point. Other than these Blood Knights, everyone has, you know, crumble leadership, but fortunately they do end up breaking and they're out, and that'll be all she wrote, as they say. Murder she wrote. Murder she wrote. There you go, get some music too. Many talents, guys, many talents. All right, so let's look at the recap here. A lot of kills on my Sternsmen, or sorry, on my Graveguard, to be expected. 100, you know, almost 100 kills in these two. You know, 76. I don't know who these. Oh, these guys are probably fighting the Grail Guardians, so they did, you know, obviously not as well. And Sternsmen, of course, 114, so quite well. A bunch of chevrons on these guys. I don't know what I chevroned them up to begin with. You have to go back to the beginning of the video, but yeah, I don't know. They just did not perform well at all. 209 kills on these Grail Guardians, 133 kills on these guys. Just being absolute world beaters, just doing so much damage to so many different units, and really just being the one thing that held for Bretonnia this whole battle. Because if these Blood Knights were free to run amok, I would have just crushed them, their whole army, with cycle charging. But they were able to hold them and do pretty decent. Obviously, they don't have a great charge, and I mean, there's probably an argument to be made for Grail Guardians, Grail Knights, but I'm pretty sure Grail Knights lose pretty handily to Blood Knights, especially without the support of healing. Whereas these guys, I mean, even with the support, without the support of healing, they did quite well, and it was a long, atrocious battle to get rid of them. So yeah, interesting pick. I like your build. I thought it was very flavorful. Thank you, Smeaton, for the fun match. Yeah, and I guess the takeaway is that Blood Knights are not nearly as good as they used to be, and Grail Guardians are no joke, son. All right, see you guys around the bend.